What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what I would do if I was getting started in the midterm rental space. I'm going to break down exactly the things that I would do if I was starting literally today from scratch with no midterm rentals, how I'd operate, and things that I would actually do. And if you're sitting here watching this right now and you really want to get in the midterm rental space, just know that I'm actually launching a midterm rental summit April 30th to May 1st in San Diego. This is going to be fantastic. There's going to be speakers such as Yona McIntyre, Sarah Weaver, Soli of Leases and Lattes, Furnish Finder, Brian Payne, the CEO, Price Labs, my buddy Rafa Loza. So this event is going to basically be everything you need to know about the midterm rental space, but we're actually going to be networking together. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, jump in down below. I'm going to leave some information down in the description. Get your ticket because they are not lasting long, and right now we still have early bird tickets. All right, so what would I do if I was just starting in the midterm rental space today? Number one would be actually connecting with people in my real estate market or attending real estate meetups, joining Facebook groups, joining mentorships, doing something that you can actually be around people that are either doing what you want to be doing or learning from those folks that have already done it, and they're going to teach you specifically how to do that. Those are basically, probably in my opinion, one of the easiest ways to actually get into the space. I think that one of the things that people don't necessarily talk about all the time is that if you get into midterm rentals, make sure it's an operator that's actually legitimately doing it in a way that makes sense. A lot of people are saying that they're operating in the midterm rental space. They're just listing on Airbnb for 30 days or more. And not that that's wrong, but I think that there's a lot of other opportunities that are outside of that, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this short video. But I'd actually go to real estate meetups, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why I would go to real estate meetups. So real estate meetups are great because there's a bunch of landlords that own typically a lot of properties. Most people that own real estate, that are investing in real estate, own more than one property, just so that you guys know. I don't know the statistic on it. Going to real estate meetups would be super important because I would actually arbitrage my first property. I would buy a property or arbitrage. Every single video, you guys, I have to screw up. So let's rewind this again. No, that's not what it sounds like to rewind. What does a rewind sound like? Izzy, if you can actually make this rewind now, make a rewind sound and I'll start over again. Anyway, I would actually pick up a unit without buying a property. I would start off that specific way. The reason why I'm bringing this up right now, and I actually was opposed to rental arbitrage for the longest time until my buddy Rafa Loza, who I have a podcast with, was just like, dude, you got to do this. And that was a couple years ago. And I would do that now because the real estate market, the interest rates are a little bit high, right? They're not like crazy high like they were in the 80s, you know, in the 17, 20, 25%, whatever the heck they were. You know, right now we're hanging around 7%. By the time, if you're watching this, we're in about the beginning of February. That's going to put my monthly mortgage pretty high. So for me, I would literally go to these real estate meetups. I would find a landlord and I would talk to the landlord. And this is exactly what I would say if I was starting today from scratch. I would say, hey, Miss Landlord, hey, Mr. Landlord, my name is Jesse Vasquez. I am starting a real estate business that is geared towards hosting travel medical professionals, families who've been displaced by fires, folks that have lost a property due to some kind of catastrophic event, like I just talked about a second ago. And I'm actually going to be connecting with agencies to build rapport with these companies to have them come into my property. And I would explain how me operating in this capacity with their property, A, I'm going to keep the property literally in the best shape it could possibly be. B, they can walk the property anytime they freaking want, because actually not every time. After any guest checks out, they can actually physically walk the property if they'd like to. And number three, if you ask landlords how much money they spend a year on people that rent their properties, and this is me just from experience of talking to people in this space, they typically spend from $3,000 to $6,000 every single time somebody moves out a year later. They got to replace baseboards. They got to replace vanity mirrors. They got to replace, did I just say baseboards? Yeah, carpets. They got to fix chips that are in certain things. They got to go in and paint. So there's so many different things that have to happen when a landlord owns a property. And I think sometimes, unless you actually own real estate, you'll know these kinds of things. If you're new getting into the space, you probably have an idea, but you don't actually fully understand it. So that's what I would do. I'd actually go to the landlord and say, hey, I'm going to be able to save you X amount of money. These are the people that I'm going to be serving. And I think this is going to be one of the most important parts that I want you guys to understand right now. When you help healthcare clinicians and you're helping people that lost a property due to a fire or flood or some kind of event that happened in their lives, when you put them first and you put your business secondary and you actually care about serving these people, you'll watch your business just like literally go from 1 to 5 to 7 to 10, because people will start to feel this. Like they'll actually truly feel, and I got goosebumps right now talking about this. This is what drives the business. Like there's some intuition with God or the universe where everything will start to align. And I'm telling you guys this from experience, that once you make your business, if you're going into this space specifically about the people rather than ourselves and making money for ourselves, which obviously at the end of the day, we do need to make mortgage payments, we do need to do these things, but any successful business always has the customer in mind. And I think that that's one of the most important things when you get in this space, is to really have that mindset. And I think it's something that needs to be adapted. It doesn't just happen overnight. You have to really truly feel the empathy that it comes along with housing people that have lost their property, or having clinicians that help you with your community. I mean, that could be your father, your mother, your brother, your cousin, or your uncle that they're serving in their community. So I think when you start thinking about things in that level, or I feel when you start thinking on that capacity, there's just a lot of nurturing that happens, not only within yourself, but also with the people that you talk to. So be very transparent and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. My intentions are specifically on this. I'm actually taking Jesse's course. This guy does whatever, yada, 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 and teaches us how to get agency contracts or how to help clinicians. Or if you're not even taking my course, you're just watching these videos, literally I lay everything out for you guys. Like go on Furnish Finder, put your property up. It's all for free, right? Because I want everybody to be successful, just like I have been, and a lot of people have in the entire US that are making these things happen on a regular basis. So you have no idea how many people actually truly want to do these kinds of things, or want to just connect with somebody to literally pass their property off to somebody that they know is going to take care of it. And that could be your cousin, your uncle, your brother, your nephew, your wife, your friend's family member, a coworker that has a rental property. Like there's people everywhere that are willing to give properties. And I think sometimes we get stuck in that, like, nobody's going to want to rent to me. I have no idea how to do this. So trust me, people will rent to you, especially if you're transparent, especially if you're open. And I'm going to tell you where to go to find these people. I already just talked about the real estate meetups, right? Number 2, Facebook groups. Facebook groups have a ton of landlords. Real estate investors are in Facebook groups, and they're specific to counties. So if I wanted to look up a county, Stanislaus County real estate, cool, there's a real estate group that's there. I'd be able to join that. I can ask questions. I literally just found a couple of different carpenters from that website. You can literally just post on there, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to arbitrage a couple units. Here's my goals. Is there anybody that's willing to rent a property to me? You probably will have somebody that will reach out to you. Because what do landlords want? There's literally 2 things that every single landlord on this planet wants to have. And I'm going to tell you those right now. First off, they want to get paid, right? Who doesn't want to get paid? And guess what? You're going to be a legitimate business that's going to be able to pay your first, last, and your deposit. And number 2, one of the other most important things is they want to make sure their property is taken care of. And what did I just talk about? Rewind this back. Me operating in this capacity with their property, I'm going to keep the property literally in the best shape it could possibly be. What did I talk about? Like literally taking care of your property. Figure out how long your lease is. If that's a year long, bring that landlord in and just be like, hey, sir, ma'am, check this out. This is what the property looks afterwards. Like imagine if I was to take multiple units from you. And that's one of the cool things about this business, you guys, is that once you build one relationship with one landlord, they give you one door, and you walk them through this process, and they see that a year later, 3 months later, 6 months later, that the property looks just as good as it the day that they handed you over those keys, then holy smokes, they're gonna give you every single property afterwards. So for year 1, my goal would be to build a relationship with the landlord. And year number two, I would use all the earnings. I wouldn't touch any of the earnings, by the way, you guys. I would let my first year ride, all that income that I make from that property. Year number 2, I would actually deploy that capital to buy a property. That's exactly what I would do. And I would just do that year after year after year. And if you can scale, if you got the funds to be able to do that, you get that one property as an arbitrage. Maybe year 1, you pick up another property. So by the end of year 1, you can have 3 or 4 properties, and you can be cash flowing a pretty decent amount. You'll be able to keep some for yourself, and then obviously deploy that capital to the next property. I think that sometimes we as investors or entrepreneurs or people that are just getting into this space, like don't really know where to start or what to do. And for me, that would be hands down one of the first things that I would do to get started and to dip my toe in the water and to understand what this market's like. And if you didn't know, I just talked about this a minute ago. The Midterm Rental Summit is April 30th to May 1st in San Diego. Get your early bird tickets. And I do have a course, if you guys didn't know, specifically teaches you how to go after travel medical agencies, which is not only agencies, but also insurance companies, and how to actually build relationship businesses. Relationshipshul. You guys, is that, oh my goodness. If I just knew how to talk, I'd probably be able to do so much more in my life. To close this out, what I would do if I was just starting from scratch is exactly that. I would 100% start thinking about going after the agencies, connecting on a business to business level. And for me, building those relationships are going to pay me for years down the road. I'm gonna have a long roadway. I'll give you all an example of this. I built a relationship with AMN Healthcare. There was a guy named Michael there. And Michael, this was probably about 2016. Michael and I connected. We actually got a clinician that came and stayed at the property. I didn't get a contract with them with the first clinician, but the second clinician, he reached out to me first. And he said, hey Jess, we had a clinician that was out with you before. We have another one coming. Are you able to house them? And that's when I brought up contracts and I was like, hey, look, I would love to help you guys. I want to help you guys. Is there a certain way that I can connect the dots and put together an actual contract? And he's like, yeah, we actually do that. So for me, that was how things got going. And still to this day, literally 6 years later, I still know Michael. He still sends referrals over to me. In fact, he'll even explain to me now, after we're friends for many years, where are certain markets that he sees that there's a need. So you guys, there's so much opportunity in the space. I think that, again, at the end of the day, it's just building relationships. And I think that that truly is what's going to set you apart. And keep this in mind too, you guys. Real estate's been the same for a billion years. I mean, not a billion, because dinosaurs were around back then, but real estate's been the same for like 100 something years, right? People have properties, they make a couple $100s off of it. It's been the same. In fact, I think it's too easy to get in real estate. And I think you guys are probably sitting there thinking like, too easy, what man? Like, you're ridiculous. A lot of real estate's gonna be done on a business level, like going forward in the future. Mark my words on this. Just everything is evolving in different ways. And I think real estate's been the same for so long that something has to change, and we will eventually see something like that happen. And I'll dive into that for another subject or another video. But for today, I just wanted to give you guys some tips on what I would do if I was getting started in this space, literally from scratch today. So if you found this helpful, leave a like, subscribe down below, and let me know how you're getting started in this space. See you soon.